As you can see, this is Mural app. I think that if you go to mural.co, you'll be able, I'm actually going to do that with you, mural.co. If you go to that page, you get to the landing page and you can basically start it for free, and I believe it's 30 or 90 days currently. Actually, I think that it's 90 currently due to everybody trying to do everything remotely now. So they're providing like 90 days free of charge, and it's really cool that they've kind of responded to the problem and to the need on the market. And this is the first tool that I want to kind of cover in some way, shape, or form when it comes to the detail. It's a pretty simple tool. So let me just go back to when you do. Let me just move this away. When you do get on this thing, you're pretty much you've got like private rooms that you can create on your own. I'm sharing some of those with some of my teammates. Some of them are specifically made for 99 Grid Academy for some of the training that we're doing, like this one, for example, UX Strategy Webinar. And all you need to do to add a new room, you just click this little plus icon over here, and let's just do one for tonight. So let's do design thinking at night, and it's going to be our meeting room for tonight. Let's do April is the 23rd, right? Awesome. So 23rd of April. It's a private room or it's an open room. So I can actually change that to an open room so that, all workspace members with permissions can actually access that. I can, name the purpose of this room, etc. But all I need to do is just create it. And this is an open room for everybody to join. And all I need to do now is add as many murals as I as I please. And if you do have the free account, you can create, I think, as many as 3 murals, or maybe it's just on some of the other software. I don't know. I'm not sure if they're limiting that in some way, shape, or form. But all we need to do now is we're in the room Design Thinking at Night, April 23rd, and then all we need to do is click this little plus icon and to create a new mural. And usually what we do on our design work, we either have our own kind of templates, or we just start off with a blank mural and off we go. So I'll first show you how we kind of work with a blank mural, and then show you some of the stuff that we do when we have a pre-made template for that. So all you need to do is just click on the blank mural. There's obviously quite a few of other ways of kind of using the mural with a template pre-made for you. So there's like, you can do like icebreakers. I think that there's understanding. We've got some feedback grids, empathizing. So kind of, it's around design thinking-ish a little bit. We've got some brainstorming exercises here. This is like a design thinking canvas template somewhere, which is not loading for some reason right now. But there's quite a few elements that you can actually choose and pick from and kind of start there. I very rarely use that because I prefer my own templates because I'm kind of designing the workshops myself. So I'll just go with a blank mural for now. And all you need to do is just click the create mural and you're good to go. The first thing I usually do is I name this. So it's going to be a design thinking showcase. I'm going to just go it this way. And anytime you need to re-edit that, you just need to click here and you can re-edit the name of that mural. And it works pretty much like any app on your desktop when it comes to zooming in, zooming out. There's a little navigation pane on the right over here. So you can actually use those, kind of drag them and do it this way. But I very rarely use that again because all you need to do is on the Mac, if you do a command minus and a command plus, or on a PC, it's going to be control minus, control plus. It actually allows you to zoom in and out pretty easily and kind of swiftly. So that's pretty neat. And one of the greatest things about this whole mural thing is that it's massive. It's the canvas that you're being given to start with is pretty large. If you double click anywhere on the actual thing, it's going to create a post-it note. So as you can see, you can see how small that post-it note is, and it's an actual real size post-it note, like 75 by 75 millimeters in size. So as you can see, it's really tiny. So the canvas is pretty massive. So what I'm going to do now, actually, I'm going to give it a few more minutes, and I'll actually invite you. I'm going to send you a link in the chat so you can actually get on the mural with me and do some clicking around, etc. But we'll do it on a tool that we've been using on some of the design work so far. So the way that this whole thing works, I'm doing constantly like command plus, command minus just to zoom in and out. But anywhere I click or double click, I can actually create a post-it note and then just fire away with some writing on it. And it's really cool, really fast, and it really speeds up the process of collaborating with anyone, because kind of invite people over here. And I'm going to do that just now. So you can actually do that either through this icon at the very top right hand side. So you can like share, and I'm going to do an anonymous link, or you can actually do it with this plus over here to get to the same menu. So whatever works for you. And there's a few different kind of tabs over here. The first one is to invite people that are within your member group, or people that you know that are using Mural currently, and all you need to do is just type in their surname or the start of their email address, and they will be sent a link, and they will kind of get access to that mural of yours. Or you can actually use anonymous link, and that's what I'm going to use, because if you do that, anyone that has this link will be able to access the entire app without giving any data. So without saying name, surname, and they've got a cool way of actually doing that. So nobody's kind of there are no borders to break. There's no email sign up or anything like that. So I'm going to share that in the chat actually just now for everyone. So if you just click the link, you'll be able to get access to this mural, and you'll be giving a fancy animal icon. I think that there's like seahorses and anonymous ducks and foxes and all sorts of things here. So definitely fire away. And if you just click the link in the chat on the Zoom call, you'll be able to get over here pretty swiftly. I can already see an anonymous sea turtle. So yeah, so that list will populate itself pretty quickly. And so this is the way that I usually share these murals with anybody that I'm actually collaborating with on a daily basis, unless that person has an actual account, and then I can actually invite her properly. The problem with Mural that I see is they've got, I would say, kind of a strange way to actually finance, and kind of the business model around it is kind of, I don't know, I don't understand it fully why they did what they did. But if you want to invite anybody over, that person needs to have a kind of a paid account, so that the person has a full benefit of accessing this whole thing. And if you just want people to kind of enjoy whatever you've done for them and collaborate with them, you need to own the software or kind of the licensing, and then just have them anonymously join up. So the whole anonymous thing to me is like, why couldn't they just fix that? And so I can actually, so we can just have a person, at least a name or something, without giving all of that. So I can see that the anonymous duck and sea turtles are flying around here, which is great to see. So as you can see, it's like testing it out, gluing a post-it note here and there, and that's really neat. And that's one thing when it comes to the feature of the actual mural itself. So that's one thing. But there's one massive thing that I would like to share. So if you want to go back to the sharing of the screen, that's the size of the canvas, and that's one of the biggest benefits of using Mural app is the size of the canvas. Because if you go to, there's a little like a drop down arrow right next to the name of the canvas, so Design Thinking Showcase, and if we just click this drop down arrow, it's going to give us a whole list of options, and you can share the mural again. Obviously, you can export it to some extent, and I will show you that later on. You can download the mural files, etc. But the key thing that I'm very often using is the mural settings. So if you go to the mural settings, it'll pop-up menu kind of shows itself. So you can again edit the name of the mural. You can change the background color. So if you want to turn it really dark, that's cool. You can do that. So let's just do that, and then you have all different shapes and sizes, and they're actually showing you a real human being right next to the mural size to give you the scale of the size of this whole thing. So we have the default, which is like 9,000 pixels by 6,000 pixels. You've got the very horizontal one. So let's just go with the horizontal. That's what we usually use. So we have more and more room to the right for our thoughts and and investigations. So as you can see, the mural has dramatically been increased to our right-hand side. So it's also cool that it actually goes from wherever it was and then extends it to the right. So everything that you've put together is actually, kind of intact. And then it just gives you more space on the right. And then if you want, it gives you more space on the bottom. I'm actually going to change the color of this because the darkness is a little bit too dark to me. So yeah, and again, you change it pretty quickly, and it's really efficient as far as the kind of the efficiency of the software goes. It's really reliable, and you can put a lot of stuff on it, and it works. It kind of deals with the pressure of many people using it at the same time. A lot of people kind of putting stuff on it, and yeah, it's pretty cool to actually use. And as you can see, the sizing of this thing is pretty massive now. I think about, yeah, I can just barely zoom out enough to see the entire thing. And yeah, that's pretty much the gist of this exercise, guys, when it comes to using it. And now it's all down to putting stuff on it when it comes to some canvases, etc. And that's what I would like to showcase now. Just to show you one additional feature of exporting stuff out of this. So if I want to go back, actually, before we get there, let me just break down some of the tools on the left here. So it's really simple to use. You've got a few tools, and they're all available right on the left-hand side of this little panel over here. And you can actually include like text. When it comes to title, you can actually have text box and some kind of comments that you can just drag and drop anywhere on the mural. And all you need to do is just type that thing in, and it sends it away to all the participants in that mural, and they'll be able to see that there's a comment right there. So that's one thing. You can kind of add text fields. Let me just zoom in a little bit so you can actually see it. Another thing that's cool, if you kind of put the space or use the space bar and kind of drag and drag around the elements using the command minus and kind of dragging and drop, kind of dragging using the space bar. It's pretty neat. It's like any other tool, like XD, Photoshop, Illustrator. Probably Windows Paint. Although I'm not sure if it works that way, because they are pretty strange when it comes to the way that they use that. So yeah, all you need to do is just type stuff in. Multiple enters are possible over here. And what's really cool, I've just typed in a bunch of text over here, right? But what I could do, if I want to put that text on the post-it note, all I need to do is go to this switch type, and then just put it on a sticky note. In no time, everything that I've just typed in is being moved to the actual sticky note. If this sticky note is too small for me, I can also, change the size to a 3x5 sticky note, or a circle one. For that matter, I can scale those up and down, etc. Another thing that I can do, I can change the color of the post-it notes to maybe green. I can change this one to, purple. It's really kind of intuitive, and everything's like, underneath your fingertips, and it's really simple to get these things, done and get yourself familiarized with all these simple tools. And that's why I really love it, because it's so simple to use it. And then again, if I don't want to edit the post-it notes that I've put in, I can actually drag and drop any color of the post-it note and size and kind of the type of the post-it note at the same time as well. So if I want to use a purple one, I just drag and drop it. If I want a black but a bigger one, all I need to do is drag and drop it. It snaps everything in, so it shows this little kind of a line wherever I drag elements around. It kind of always snaps in place. So it's pretty cool to actually keep your stuff, organized. I'm a kind of, when it comes to having my things organized on Mural and workshops as well. I'm pretty compulsive when it comes to that. I really, I'm Mr. Stopper. It's like, Mr. Timer. I really want to make sure that my agenda is, on point and with the right minutes left at the end of it. So again, all we need to do is just scroll through any one of those. We can take different shapes. We can have some kind of arrows. One thing that is kind of missing here is kind of linking elements together with a little bit more ease, I would say, because it does snap in, but it doesn't keep those connections. So it snaps to that thing, and it just doesn't keep those connections kind of connected to that element. So if I now take this and I drag and drop, it actually does, which is great. You learn something every day. I thought that it just doesn't do it, but so it keeps the connection. Okay, so it depends what you're moving. So if you do move the element you've connected to, it actually keeps that. I was hoping that, if I drag and drop the line, it's going to keep the post-it note with it. But the other way around, it works. So I've learned something here today, guys. So it's great. So you can actually snap some of that stuff, some of those elements together, and then when you move them, it actually binds those pretty neatly. This is awesome. I've just learned this. So that's that. We've got all different shapes and sizes, obviously, that we can use, which is awesome. And then we can just go through each one of those. You've got some iconography that you can pick from. You've got some additional frameworks. So again, going back to those little frameworks you could have started off with, we still have access to that. So anytime we want, to do a business model canvas, for example, it's all available here. So all of those canvases come included within the package. So it's really cool, because all I need to do is just, take my business model here, and I can just fire away and start working on it, right? So It's a simple drag and drop. I've got my business model canvas right here, and all I need to do is just start filling it out. And as you probably remember, it all starts with the right-hand side, and I'm just double clicking and I'm putting stuff on it, writing, elements down, and that's it. If I want to copy some of those elements really quickly, it's again like with any other app. I hold down the Alt or the Option key, Alt on the PC, on a Windows PC, and an Option on the Mac. I can then drag and copy elements at the same time. So it's pretty, again, cool and neat. And one additional feature, whenever I use a canvas like this, what I do is I want to lock this in place. So again, for any element on the screen, you can always right-click it. So I right-click it, and I've got an additional set of tools, and you can just lock it with additional options. So any member can unlock it, so I'm going to do that, or only the facilitator, so the people running the show can actually unlock that. So I'm going to do that, or maybe I'll just give you the benefit of having a possibility of locking it yourself and unlocking it. So again, pretty cool. We've got all the images. You can import some of the images and have them here, or you can kind of drag and drop any images. So I'm going to do that. Let's go to desktop. I'm going to go maybe with something like, let's see this. I had a cool design here. Yeah, that's an MP4, so I don't want to have a movie here displayed, but I'm going to go with one of the designs that I did a long time ago. As you can see, 2018, 26th of October, November. And that was a gift from me to Mr. Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm sure that you can relate, and you probably know the dude. And Gary, he just launched Empathy Wines back then. And yeah, and I was kind of, he did this live event with a party. It was beginning of November. I don't remember when Gary was born, but it was November. And yeah, he announced that he's launching with Nate and this other dude. I never remember his name, but they were launching Empathy Wines in the States. So I went online and I checked out the web page, and it was pretty. Let me just go with Empathy Wines. Let's see how it looks like now. It looks like now. All right, it looks a little bit better, I guess. Okay, they need to, it's 20, so 10, 19, 83, whatever, submit. So it looks a little bit better, and I'm really glad that they've actually adopted some of the designs, and I'll show you that in a second. So, so that's something that we put together, and yeah, and all you need to do is just drag and drop images. It scales it pretty well, and then you can just play around with it. So you can definitely kind of scale it up and scale it down, just to make sure that it fits whatever you're working on. So that's that. We can comment on it, so we can have a massive space for anybody to actually collaborate on. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist so far. And yeah, I'm open to questions, guys. Do you have any questions related to the mural itself? Hi, Rami. Depending on what you want to use them for, I'm going to showcase three of them today, and these are the ones that they all have pros and cons. But when it comes to Mural, this would be my go-to tool when it comes to the simplicity of it, the amount of collaborators I can have, kind of anonymously, but still have the price tag. It's pretty cheap to get, and the massive kind of flexibility with the massive canvases. So depending on what kind of design work are you trying to do? If it is workshop based and you want to kind of do a lot of post-it note, creative thinking, ideations online, etc., collaboration of that sort, so a lot of post-it notes and stuff, and processes, etc. If you need some additional kind of features when it comes like mind maps, maybe some additional process tools, and embedding a Word document on this thing, Mural is going to be a little bit difficult because it doesn't have those kind of frameworks. It doesn't have a mind map. It doesn't have the ability to put a Word document here, etc. So it's pretty limited that way. But the benefit is, it's massive canvases and collaboration pretty easily. So if you require that additional kind of functionality when it comes to building mind maps, complaints, information structures, maybe embedding a document there, Miro is the go-to tool, I would say. But if it's a simple collaboration with a massive amount of space, so you can actually let your ideas flow, I would go with Mural all the way as well. So depending on that kind of, I would pick either Miro or Mural. But if you're already on Miro, I'm sure that you'll be able to. They've got all the post-it notes craziness there as well. So uh, that's true. That's true because of the additional. Right, I totally agree. That's why we're kind of still using Mural more than Miro. I'm kind of trying to transition to Miro a little bit with some of the advanced features, obviously, but it is a lot more difficult to use it because of the additional kind of functionalities there, right? So it's always but it's great to see you, Romeo. It's so cool to see, man. I don't think there's an easy way to switch that off. I think it's kind of embedded into this whole thing. But the way that I try to kind of accommodate that specific need is I'm going to show you an example of one of the tools that we've used. It's a design thinking at night, one of the previous ones. We were doing an ideation session together with I don't know 5 to 10 people. And the way that we did this, is it going to be visible here? Um, okay, it showcases that way of working with it to some extent. The way that I do this, I use text and kind of some borderlines and kind of create areas for people to work in individually first to find their way around it and kind of structuring the tools and facilitation as well so that specific risk is being mitigated because you're right, if you have 25 different cursors of other people flying around, it's really difficult to find your own one, specifically even facilitate that kind of workshop alone. So it's pretty difficult. So therefore I try to build these spaces, these kind of areas for people to have their own little rooms, if you like, on the actual canvas. So what I do is I pretty much just open up this bad boy, go to the shapes, take a big square, and all I need to do, just take this one, just this one, and yeah, I'll just scale it up. I'm just going to get rid of this scribbling. I just scale it up a little bit, depending on the size of the canvas, obviously, and the tool that I'm doing. I lock it in place, so I go right click, lock it up. Any member can unlock, or actually for my workshops, I then unlock all elements. I actually do so that only I can unlock it, so that the facilitators can only unlock this thing. And then I just do a little bit of a copywriting, kind of, take your time and make yourself comfortable here, and that would be one thing. And also what I'm doing is I obviously can then take this away and I'm going to unlock it all again. I'll clean this up just live so you can see how this whole thing actually works. Just get rid of this. And all I need to do is just create enough spaces like that. So depending on how many people I actually have coming to the workshop, I can then do this. I go to, mural settings again. If this is too small for me, I go horizontal big time. I have all the room now, so I have now spaces for 8 people. And that's one kind of step towards mitigating the risk. I look everything up. So that's one thing. An additional kind of feature that I would do, I would add post-it notes here. So I would differentiate those by color as well, so that people, when they do, have their pink post-it note, they know that they're pink. And as you probably saw, these animals that are being generated by Mural kind of anonymously, they have different colors as well. So you can kind of, if you know that you're this crazy turtle and you're green, I can just, do a green turtle kind of post-it note. And I'm just like, this is the seahorse or the sea turtle canvas or your little private room. So get yourself familiarized and kind of comfortable in that space. And if I want any people to do like individual work first, this is what I would do to mitigate that risk. But you're right, 25 different kind of cursors of other people is definitely confusing. So they should do something about this. Absolutely, absolutely. You can see one of my templates over here for one of the ideation sessions, for example. But it's depending on what you're looking for. This is like a simple layout template. So this is like a free form. We've got some title grid area. So, if you just take that over, you'll be able to see that it's pretty much just just a simple bigger kind of a sheet of paper, really. And then we have some 2x2 grid. We have some 3x3, some 3 lines. So these are like really simple ones for you to use. Then we go into the design, and that's stuff related to some sort of a persona generation, so like name, sketch, behaviors, actions, needs, pain points, and demographic, psychographic details. So kind of a very simple way of describing an archetype or a design persona. So this is kind of a thing like that. Then we have some sort of a roadmap if you are kind of pricing your work or trying to come up with a way to structure a project, for example. Maybe we have some, this is an assumption grid, kind of simple grid when it comes to high risk and, kind of prioritizing elements. Then we have some empathy maps. What else is there? Feedback grid. So, but it's all built around a simple, simple few lines together. Some idea prioritization, etc., with a little bit of grid over there. So, you can actually, if you scale this down, I like to have a little bit of a limit, creative limit when I'm doing these things, just to make sure. I'm going to send it back, just to make sure that when I do use them, the post-it note is actually the size of this little square, so that when people are using, they're kind of limited with the amount of space and kind of move they can do. So that's what I usually do, specifically, for example, for this one. As you can see, there's one spot for one post-it note. So that's what I'm trying to do. So these kind of elements. We've got like the Super Hunch sketchpad. We have really big value idea sketchpad. So this is like some craziness over here. And just bring it to front. So there's quite a few of those, and they've reached out to a few kind of design facilitators and design gurus to get a whole list of those. And obviously, you can go do a Google search on anything and just copy that and plug it into your Mural pretty easily and just do anything. So that's that. Then we have some agile stuff like wall of work, retrospective, risk walls, all of that. Then we have business, so all the business model canvas, event model canvas. This is probably from our event designers, our close friends. I know the guys that actually came up with that one. We have the lean canvas, empathy map. So it's pretty cool. We've got the plane map as well. So it's pretty kind of packed when it comes to the tools. And all you need to do, if you know the methodology associated with the tool, you just, you're ready to roll, basically, because you've got everything here. You don't need to do any design work. It's all available to you. Is there anything else there? Yeah, we've got some calendars, so if you need to put something together as far as the timeline is concerned and do some calendar structuring, that's there for you as well. So it's pretty neat. It's pretty cool. It's pretty packed with information. Sometimes a little bit too much, I would say, but it definitely helps with structuring the thought of the people. So taking time. So does that kind of answer the question, Jane? Awesome. Any other questions? Let me just see. Okie dokie. I'm going to kind of get out of I'm going to stop the sharing of the screen just to see everybody. Okay, Greg. Okie dokie. Femi Banjo, welcome. It's great that you guys are here. All right, so what I want to do now is I'm going to share the screen yet again and show you another exciting tool that we're working on, kind of collaborating, using it, again, daily-ish, I would say. And that's a thing called, and I'm going to use this empathy map as an example. I mean, empathy wines as an example. So kind of, the Vaynerchuk's wines. So that's that. That's the Mural, and that's the InVision. So if you go to InVision, InVisionApp.com, you're going to get to the landing page, and this tool is more related to kind of working away, kind of working on an app design, rather like user experience design, but it does provide a very cool set of tools for collaboration and planning of your collaboration as well. So that's what I wanted to cover with you guys as well today. So if you just, you can sign up for free, and I think it's 30 days here actually for free to go, crazy with it. And I think that it can actually be either 30 days for free, or it might be actually limited, kind of unlimited time, but only one project to deal with, to start with. And I don't think that it can be like a commercial one also. So, just a little bit you can do a little bit of digging into the terms and conditions of that. But if you do get in, I've opened up a very fresh account today, just to showcase how it looks like when you actually get on it. And it's pretty simple. Again, you've got some documents, spaces, etc. But all we need to do is just create your first document. So all we need to do is just start creating. So we're going to start creating, and we want to create a prototype. So let's just create a prototype, and then I'll show you some of the boards and some of the freehands and how it all kind of is bound together. So I'm going to create a prototype, and again, as I mentioned, it's more when it comes to prototyping and kind of designing apps. This is my go-to tool for my collaborations, even when the whole kind of lockdown wasn't current. I was still using it very heavily for the last maybe 4, 5, 6 years even, because it allowed us to put a package of designs together, of interface designs, and just send those away to our clients, and they could easily kind of comment on those designs. And I'm going to showcase that to you. So let's just do a desktop. So let's imagine I'm working away with Gary, and it's going to be Empathy Wines, redesign, and let's just do that. And it's going to be desktop, right? You've got other platforms here as well, so you can do a responsive web design for your iPhones, Androids, even for the Apple Watches, or smartwatches of any sort, so Android and Apple, and tablet kind of sizes of resolutions as well. So let's just go with the desktop first. I'm going to create that. And all we need to do is go to our little design. Just drag and drop it from the kind of finder all the way to here. And it does the rest for us, hopefully. There you go. So it's uploading the image itself. And I've already created the first prototype, really. Because all I need to do, once it's uploaded, I can view the screen. And it works like it was in a browser. Right, so it's kind of I can scroll around with it. It's going to give me all that craziness and kind of descriptions because I've just registered for this new account. But as you can see, it's pretty much scaled to the browser, so I can actually click around and and kind of see the design. So if I'm a client, I can actually do it pretty easily. And I'll actually send you the link, but not just yet, so you can actually get access to it again remotely. You can send an anonymous link, although I'm not sure if you'll be able to get access to it without providing some of the details. I think that InVision does that differently a little bit. I think that they used to not do that, but I think that currently they're actually asking you for emails to do it and kind of registration. So that's that. And the way that it really works well as far as the collaboration tool is, it's got a few features. And the first one is obviously this is like a play mode, so I'm just looking at the design itself. But I can actually build a prototype. I don't want to get into that too much today, but I can comment on anything that's visual. So if I get into the comment mode, now it's loading conversations, but now anywhere I click on the actual design, I can actually leave a comment. So it's pretty similar to the Mural comment, kind of leaving the comments, but it's a little bit more embedded into the actual solution. It's more focused on that, right? So we have it right there at the very front of our interaction. So it's really, really easy. And then whenever I click, I'm going to go like, this should not be rosé, Andy. And I just post it. And I'm getting a notification. So anybody that has access to this project gets a notification on the email about the comments. So every time I share this with a client, I know when they're starting to work with this because I'm getting a notification on the email. We usually set up a deadline, like, okay, you've got the designs. I'm giving you 72 hours or up until the end of the week or whatever, up until the end of the month, to give me the feedback on the specific design. And I know exactly when they're starting and when they're finishing, because you can see the notifications kind of firing into your email. Change the iconography, and I can just type that in. And there are some additional features, so I can actually add and tag someone that I'm actually specifically talking to. So like add, Andy, for example, right? And I can, add an emoji if I want. And I can also kind of change the type of that remark. Is it a comment or is it just a note for myself, for example, right? And I can kind of look it up. So is it anybody seeing this, or is it just kind of limited to a certain extent? So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then that notification is going to go to that additional person in the actual in that specific comment. So that's pretty much it. It's pretty much the gist of this whole thing when it comes to kind of collaborating. And you can have multiple designs. What we need to do to go back, I think that this is, they've kind of changed a few things here, recently. I go back to the main page. I can see the title of the project. And obviously I can add new screens. I can sync it with Sketch if you're using Sketch. I can get a kind of a Photoshop document here as well, or just basically plain PNG, JPEG files, or GIF files to put it into this project. So let me just do and kind of do another one. maybe I'll go with another screen that we've designed for Gary. Again, drag and drop, uploaded, and yeah, and then I can navigate in between those. So I go to the first one using arrows, or these little arrows on the right and on the left. I can actually kind of navigate to the next screen, and then depending on the mode I am in the build mode or am I in the comment mode, I can actually comment some stuff around, right? I can actually do, there's like an inspect mode if you kind of input the kind of the sketch files or PSD files. Some additional information is being embedded here, so you can actually inspect some of the information like a font size, etc. So, but these are just PNGs, so that's that. And obviously I can share from the level of the screen, so I can actually share this specific screen, or I can share the entire project. So if I go to show all screens, I can actually do a share over here, and I can share it to whoever I want, and I can obviously copy the link. So if I do copy the link, I'm going to put it into the chat on our chat over here. There you go. I'm sending it privately. Just bear with me. There you go. So that's that. And let me know if InVision asks you for some additional lingo. I'm pretty certain that they do, but if they don't, you'll be able to have access to this glorious project of mine and do it this way, right? So you can, anyone with the link can edit. Hopefully, if you click the link, you'll be able to get access to it. So just let me know if you have access to the link itself or not. And then if you do, you'll be able to kind of get to the screens and kind of leave some comments on them, etc. So that's one thing that I wanted to kind of highlight when it comes to some of the features when it comes to InVisionApp. But there's one cool thing that I wanted to share, and it really changed. They really changed the design, like since yesterday. So I'm kind of not used to everything here. But let's go back to the main screen. So recently viewed, and we have some spaces, team spaces, my spaces, documents. We have the home, we have the boards, and if we go to documents, we have all the documents, all kind of the prototypes, and everything is going to be here. But what I wanted to show you is something that's not so much related to the UX design, so designing of the app, but actually something for collaboration in a slightly different way, and that's all the freehands. And I'm sure that I'll be able to create a new freehand. So let's do again like a workshop session, let's say number 1. And what this does, it gives us a canvas. It gives us something that we can draw around on. So if you are kind of in the position of something like I do, like a tablet, or you have the iPad, and you'll be able to have access to this remotely on your iPad Pro, for example, with that Apple Pen, or if you can actually get your hands on a small tablet like Wacom does, this Intuos Pro S, I think it's called, you'll be able to draw pretty quickly and pretty neatly using that specific thing. I'm using a Wacom Cintiq 22 HD. I've done some concept art courses, a lot of concept art designs. I've designed like axes and gear for games. I can show you some of it. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun work. But yeah, what we can do here is do a lot of collaboration. Just writing stuff down. Draw like maybe. Let's just bear with me. Let's see if I remember anything. Just draw a cat or whatever. Just go with that. There you go. A little kitty right there. And again, if you hold down space, you'll be able to kind of move stuff around. Let's just maybe give this cat a little bit of a. There you go. Is he holding a steering wheel? No, he's not, obviously. And you can actually draw quite a few things here. Again, command minus command plus kind of zooms in and out. So you're able to kind of draw stuff out, and yeah, just let's keep this cat locked up, and then I can move stuff around, with this little pen tool. This little kind of arrow tool. You can add additional text. You can change the color, the alignment of that text, etc. So it's pretty neat when it comes to this kind of collaboration, and kind of having a space for you to actually have a a flip chart, so you can actually share and collaborate with other people. And again, if you share that, I can actually share that and copy the link. And hopefully, if I click this link into that one, I'm afraid, yeah. So you can only view and play without signing in. Yeah, so that's what I thought. So Romeo kind of responded and said that that's unfortunately the case. For you to get access to this thing, you need to kind of sign up to InVision. I recommend you do it, at some, not now, but at some point, so that you can actually get access to this. It's a cool tool to use for your collabs, and yeah, and just have fun with it. So that's one thing. We have some text and we have some shapes there. Oh, so there's an anonymous user, so somebody signed up. And the cool thing is that I can actually see those people again. Unless there's like 25 different people doing this, then it's pretty difficult to actually comprehend who's doing what. But I can see someone. So who is it? Who got on it? All right, Jane. That's awesome. So, all right. All right. So I guess that all right, all right. So I guess that for the free hands, maybe they've got a different story. So for free hands, maybe you can get access without actually signing in and kind of playing around with a little cat. Oh, I can see two anonymous users. And the great thing about Mural is that it actually at least gives you an animal name. Here we have two anonymous users, so we really don't know who's on it. So that's pretty difficult to comprehend. But at the end of the day, it's a pretty cool thing, and it's I don't know if it actually has a size, because you can really unzoom to like 0 and then a little bit further in, and the space here is pretty massive. So I'm not sure. I've never tested how big it can actually get, but it does seem like it can get pretty big. So that's something you can definitely check out, and there's quite a lot of room for us to actually play around with it. And yeah, just have some fun with it. So InVisionApp for your UX design work, for some of the collaboration and kind of getting to the bottom of some of the issues is pretty cool. And yeah, and it works pretty well. It's all pretty well kind of structured. And there's one additional feature that I wanted to showcase when it comes to InVision, and that's if I go to the main one. If I find whatever I was looking for, because they have changed quite a lot of things here, guys. To be honest, like today or yesterday, day before yesterday. So that's documents. There's boards. That's one thing. But I wanted to. Is it spaces or is it team? Because there's this one cool thing that that spaces, team, billing, integrations, billing, that I'm looking for, and I can't seem to find it now. But maybe they got rid of it, because there was like, let's just get into one of the projects. Maybe that's where it is, because that's where it should be. It should be called a board. Let's see. Export prototype, revoke, create a freehand. That's another thing. So we can create a freehand out of this project. So it's gonna put the project in, hopefully, that they haven't changed that. That's right. So they're gonna put whatever you were designing, and then you can actually talk about it on the freehand. So have all the features and all the capabilities, and just kind of talk it over with some people on the other side of the call, and do it this way. So that's pretty cool, pretty neat. We can clear everything, and we can go back. And I'm just looking for one feature that I wanted to show you, but I guess I won't be able to find, because that's that, and that's that. Let's just go to Empathy Wines first and see if we can actually find this thing. That's adding stuff in. They must have got rid of it. They must have gotten rid of it, I guess, because there was just something pretty cool, and I haven't used it. Maybe that's why they got rid of it. But it was a cool feature. It was like a board. You can actually do like a Kanban, agile kind of sprint. Put some post-it notes there, so you can actually plan some work, whatever you're working on, etc. But as far as InVision is concerned, UX design, UI design, and anything visually kind of pleasing to people that you can actually comment on and relate to, that's definitely something I would highly recommend to use. We're using it daily. Honestly, we're using this stuff daily. We're doing a lot of UI, UX design systems, and it helps us dramatically to put everything together in one place. So that's that. As far as InVision is concerned, guys, any questions? We're an hour in. Jane, Romeo, silence of the lambs. Good. All right, so that's our InVision. I'm going to show the screen now, and I'm going to show you the last element, which is the Jamboard. And if you do have a Gmail account, I'm sure that some of you might. have a Gmail account. If not, it's free to set it up. I'm going to go to our hello@99grit account. And if you go to this little like like 9 dots icon, you've got all the Google's features, all the Google's Docs, Sheets. You've got the Gmail, obviously. You've got the calendar, etc. And if you scroll through the entire list, there's this little thing called Jamboard, and it's a Google's kind of twist on those kind of online collaborations. So if I go to a recent Jam, I think it's empty, but you just double click on that, or actually let's create a new one. This is empty, so I can actually see the entire process. And all we need to do is, like with any Google app, there's a plus somewhere. So we just go with a plus, and it's going to create an empty Jam without name. We can just name that Design Thinking at Night. There you go. Okie doke. And it's a pretty simple, again, so it's kind of a combination between InVision and Mural and Miro with some kind of drawbacks. I mean, it is included within the G Suite, within the Google kind of selection of tools. But so it's pretty much free for anybody to use, but it's got some limits with this whole thing. So you can obviously put in a post-it note, but it's not as easy to do. So you need to click on it, type whatever you want to type, and then save it. And then it's going to kind of move it to the canvas. So again, come on, save it, and then save it. You can change the colors here, etc. But it's not as easy as you saw on Mural. So I just double-clicked anywhere, and I could type. I could double-click and type, whatever I wanted. The bold font is not the best solution, I would say. You can obviously kind of scale it down and up, but for you to edit it, you need to kind of double-click, and it's giving you this pop-up screen. You cannot really edit the post-it note itself. So it's okay-ish, right? It's free, and it kind of provides the stuff we need. You can kind of rotate some stuff around, which is pretty cool. You can do that in Mural, but I don't think it's as easy to do, and it's not as kind of flexible. So that's that. So the post-it notes are there. Then we have some kind of drawing around tools, and this is actually something that works really well because I don't know how they did it, but it is something that you can actually go and kind of draw stuff out first, and then you can actually erase whatever you don't want, which is not possible to do either on InVision or Mural, because when you draw something on Mural or InVision, I'm going to actually show it to you. If we go to Mural, and if we go and draw anything on Mural, it's going to, we can obviously, change the thicknesses, etc. Pretty limited. But when we are done drawing, we need to kind of click Done Drawing, and then it creates an image out of this whole everything that we've drawn. So we cannot really edit it. All we can do is just get rid of it or redraw it or do something else with it, but pretty much nothing. So design thinking at night, on Google, like the Jamboard, I can actually get in there and kind of get rid of whatever I don't want. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty neat a feature to have. So I'm not, whatever I've drawn, I can actually kind of get in and erase, which is pretty cool to have. So InVision doesn't have that, and Mural doesn't have that either. So that's that when it comes to eraser and writing some stuff down. And then, post-it notes, we can glue in some images from, let's say, let's go with design thinking. We can do a Google search of an image. This is a pretty cool feature, but so I can kind of download any image from the Google search. So if I need anything, and there's everything is on Google search, anything you might need, I'm just gonna let it download and just keep it over here. And that's a pretty neat feature as well. But that's pretty much it when it comes to that. Apart from the last one, which is pretty great, and that's laser. So this is kind of the laser pointer that you have on the workshop, so you can actually, highlight some of the elements, and it's going to disappear after a second or two, right? So I'm going to, I'm in this kind of presenter mode, so I can show some of those things to people. Okay, so I mean the VBWIUBV, and that's what I actually mean in the story. So so these are the kind of elements, and it's pretty, it's pretty cool to have this laser. I wish Mural app actually accommodated us with something like that. But the worst thing about Google Jamboard to me is the size of the canvas, because this is everything we're getting, right? So this like A4 landscape, like this page, that's pretty much everything that we're getting. So it's not as flexible because, as you can see, I've already put in like four post-it notes here, and I'm kind of running out of space. So they've provided us with, with additional one, and then we do something over here, and then additional one, and we have access to all of those. But the problem is that it lacks the kind of the agility and the flexibility of a huge canvas, because you're stuck to these A4 sheets of paper. And for some projects that we do, this makes sense because the size constrains the amount of thought streaming into the actual canvas. So if you only have A4, this is the amount of information you're going to be able to fit in on one A4 sheet of paper. So it's limiting, and you need to synthesize or pre-synthesize whatever you're putting on before you put it on it, right? So it kind of helps with structuring of kind of information before you actually put it together on the Jamboard, because you need to. You have limited space. Whereas on Mural, you go crazy. You're like, yeah, whatever, let's just put it in. So you start putting stuff in, and then you end up with a lot of mess. But it's a creative mess, so it's pretty cool. So that's pretty much it when it comes to Jamboard. That's all the features, really, when it comes to Jamboard. So it's pretty limited, but whatever it does, it actually does pretty well. So drawing, erasing, simple post-it notes, draw kind of the Google search of images, and the laser pointer, and the pre-synthetization of thoughts. Is that an English word even? So that's pretty much what this does. So, any questions, guys, as far as the Jamboard is concerned and how this whole thing works? I'm going to stop the screen share. Any questions? Jane, Isabella, Johanna, Romeo, Agnieszka, Femi, Banjo, Bartosz. So when it comes to kind of choosing, I always try to figure out the outcome of whatever I'm trying to achieve. So that's my main driver. So depending on what I'm trying to achieve as an outcome of a meeting, that's the tool that I use for that. So it's always the context of the outcome of that workshop. So if I want to have all of the creativity, be very flexible, and really just I know that the meeting is gonna include a lot of creative thought. So a lot of mess, a lot of kind of okay, let's move on. Let's move on to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, and you don't need to clean the slate, but you want to have an easy access to whatever you've created so far. I would definitely use Mural, because that gives me the huge canvas and the ability to be as creative as I want to be. And I don't need to run another A4 sheet of paper, and I don't need to pre-synthesize any information beforehand. So that's that. But when I want to draw something, for example, on the Mural, it's pretty dreadful, because it kind of it's not built for that. It allows for that, but it's not the best feature on the actual platform. So if I want to share something more in a written form, and I know that it's going to be pretty concise, and I just want a few post-it notes here and there, but what I really want to do is kind of draw a quick sketch of something and then move on to the next one and have as many of those little cards as I want to, then I would go for a Jamboard. But for workshops, online facilitations, kind of putting a lot of post-it notes and kind of simple tools, difficult discussions, Mural all the way. For something that's more pre-synthesized, people know what they're talking about. So we're kind of in a more advanced design stage, so we're kind of structured more. I would go with this one and then just use as many A4 kind of sheets of paper as I need to get to where I want to be. But this is good for kind of working on one concept several times, right? Whereas Mural is more for, I would say, working on a broad concept, on a whole different kind of a beast, like many different perspectives, looking at one thing but from many different angles. So being really free with a train of thought, just letting it go. Whereas this one, I would use for that, but it's limited. So it always is a judgment call. For the online facilitations, we use Mural all the way. Jamboard very rarely, to be honest with you. So, but I want to share it because not a lot of people know it, and it's included in the suite. So it's pretty easy to get access to it for free, really. So that's that.